Joe wants to fight Usyk, but he can match the pace, doesn't take the breaks. Usyk feeds on the breaks, and we'll have a very detailed game plan for Usyk.
Joseph Parker's trainer Andy Lee gives brutal warning to Oleksandr Usyk at press conference. Lee's words hit like a threat. Parker won't give Usyk a moment to breathe. No breaks, no escape, just pressure from the first bell to the last. It's a chilling promise that Usyk will be hunted down.
Joe is the last challenge left. We can offer something that nobody else can. Craft, cleverness, doesn't take breaks, can fight the pace. It's a great challenge, and we just want to fight the best.
Andy Lee fires a chilling warning, spelling out exactly why Parker is a nightmare for Usyk. The usual gaps Usyk thrives on, gone. Parker has rebuilt himself into a fighter who doesn't switch off. If Usyk dares to rely on those lapses, he'll be punished brutally.
Fight the best of their era. Hamza wants to fight Canelo. Joe wants to fight Usyk. We always want to challenge ourselves as fighters, and we're up for the challenge.
Even big names in boxing have started recognizing Parker's dangerous rise. When Roy Jones Jr. speaks, the boxing world listens. And here, he paints Parker as the real danger. Fast hands, slick combinations, and Andy Lee sharpening his edge. This is not the same Parker of old. Against Usyk, that speed and composure could turn into a brutal trap.
The guy right now is Joseph Parker. Why? Because he's not a big heavyweight. He's quick, he throws combinations. He has a great trainer with him now in Andy Lee, and he's more comfortable than I've ever seen him in his whole career. And so I think that is actually a very good fight for both fighters. And this
isn't just a fight, it's a global spectacle. Turkey Alal. Sheikh's words remind us the world is watching, hungry for history, and who better than Parker, rebuilt and ruthless, to test Usyk on the grandest stage. The atmosphere alone will make this clash feel like destiny.
Everyone is happy. There's something amazing never have in your life again. I hope to live.
Frank Warren cuts through the noise. This fight isn't just talk, it's obligation. Usyk must face Parker, and Warren makes it clear the WBO mandate seals the deal. The business side is moving, and soon the champion will have nowhere to run from Parker's challenge.
Before the fight, we now know who holds the belts, who's the number one, and he's going to have to make his mandatories now. His first mandatory is the WBO against Joe.
Johnny Nelson highlights Usyk's greatest strength, his ability to adapt, learn, and dismantle opponents in rematches. But here lies the danger against Joseph Parker. There is no blueprint. Usyk has never shared the ring with him, never tasted his timing, his stamina, his newfound discipline. That unpredictability is Parker's biggest weapon. Usyk thrives on data, on patterns, on reading a fighter's rhythm. But Parker under Andy Lee has erased those very breaks and flaws Usyk loves to exploit. This isn't the same Parker who drifted through fights in the past. This is a fighter reborn, dangerous and unpredictable. Nelson is almost warning Usyk, don't think you can download Parker because there's nothing in the archives to prepare you for this version. And when the unknown collides with the master, fireworks are guaranteed.
Got to remember this, whoever Usyk's boxed once, he beats them better the second time around. And because he's downloaded the blueprint, he's never boxed Joseph Parker.
And the debate heats up further when Carl Froch weighs in with his brutally honest verdict. Carl Froch, as blunt as ever, throws down the gauntlet. He admits Parker has earned the shot, but questions if people truly give him a chance. Froch brings up the ghosts of the past, losses to White and others. But here's the truth that Joseph Parker is gone. Under Andy Lee's guidance, Parker has rebuilt himself from the ground up, fitter, sharper, and far more disciplined. The same fighter who once drifted in and out of rounds now sustains intensity from the opening bell to the last. Froch's skepticism represents what many in boxing think Usyk is untouchable. But that's exactly why Parker is so dangerous. He's underestimated, overlooked, and dismissed until the moment his fist lands. Sometimes the most dangerous opponent is the one nobody expects to win, and Parker thrives in that role, stepping into the ring with nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Parker's done everything he needs to do now to warrant a shot at Usyk, but would you even give Joseph Parker a chance at Usyk? It'd be an interesting fight. Quite fast hands, high work rate, but let's not forget who Parker's lost to already. I mean, he lost to Dillian Whyte a few years ago, and he's since been beaten a few times by people that really couldn't lace Usyk boots. And I'm not having a go at Joseph Parker, and I do think that if anybody deserves a fight, he does. He deserves the fight, deserves the payday. But is anybody realistically giving Joseph Parker a chance against Oleksandr Usyk?
When Roy Jones Jr. talks, the boxing world listens carefully. And here, he doesn't hesitate. If there's one man who can truly test Usyk, it's Joseph Parker. Roy isn't sugarcoating. He admits Usyk is the favorite, but also insists Parker is the hardest possible matchup right now. Why? Because Parker combines speed, heavyweight power, and relentless combinations with a fresh level of discipline under Andy Lee. Usyk has made a career out of breaking big, sluggish heavyweights, but Parker is different. He's lighter on his feet, quicker with his hands, and no longer fading late in fights. Jones is effectively saying if anyone can drag Usyk into a war and make him uncomfortable, it's Parker. That endorsement isn't just respect, it's a warning. Parker isn't walking in as a tune-up or a payday. He's walking in as the biggest threat Usyk could face in this era.
Joseph Parker is the best fight point right now because Joseph Parker is a guy who has the qualities and the experience that it would take to give Usyk the hardest time. I'm not saying he's going to beat Usyk by no means, but he will give Usyk the hardest time of anybody. And if anybody, I think if they said, Roy, you got to take one guy right now, put your money on against Usyk, who would it be?
Spencer Oliver cuts straight to the heart of the matter. Who can actually beat Usyk? Right now, the only legitimate answer is Joseph Parker. Not just because he's earned it, but because the WBO mandate forces Usyk's hand. The belt cannot be protected forever. Sooner or later, Usyk has to deal with Parker, and Oliver calls it what it is. Usyk's biggest challenge at this moment. Forget the past, forget the old criticisms. This version of Parker is sharpened, hungry, and unrelenting. The WBO's ruling means Usyk has no escape route, no option but to face a fighter whose style and improvements are perfectly aligned to cause him trouble. This isn't hype, it's official boxing politics colliding with destiny. Parker isn't knocking on the door anymore. He's being invited in, gloves on, ready to shake up the heavyweight landscape.
Door, and you just go, who's going to beat him? You know, who is that guy? I think the guy that deserves a shot next, by the way, is Joseph Parker. He's the guy that's been waiting, and I think the WBO have mandated that fight. So unless Oleksandr Usyk vacates the belt, he will have to fight Joseph Parker next. That'll be an interesting fight. That's probably his biggest challenge for him right.
Spencer Oliver lays down the ultimate compliment for Usyk, suggesting he may retire undefeated. That statement underlines just how highly the boxing world regards the Ukrainian maestro. Yet within that respect, Oliver slides in a crucial twist. The one name being whispered as Usyk's possible final dance partner is Joseph Parker. That's not an accident, nor a token mention. It's a recognition of Parker's form, his resurgence, and his readiness for the biggest stage. Imagine the gravity of that Usyk's final test. The last man standing between him and eternal greatness could be Joseph Parker. And what an opportunity that is for Parker. No pressure, nothing to lose, everything to gain. Usyk may be viewed as untouchable, but history tells us legends always find that one opponent who refuses to play by the script. For Parker, this isn't just a payday or a mandatory defense. It's a chance to etch his own name into boxing immortality by stopping the man everyone says is unstoppable. That's the kind of challenge great fighters crave.
I don't think anyone can beat him out there right now. Spencer. I don't think anyone will ever beat him. I think he'll retire undefeated. I think he'll fight one more time, and that probably is possibly against Joseph Parker.
And Johnny Nelson wasn't shy in warning how Usyk might be underestimating Parker altogether. Johnny Nelson doesn't mince words here. He suggests that Usyk might look at Parker as a soft touch, a supposedly easier challenge compared to the other heavyweights circling the division. But that perception is exactly what makes Parker so dangerous. Time and again, boxing history has shown us that the most overlooked contender often becomes the one who flips the script. Nelson almost sounds like he's issuing a warning to Usyk. Don't make the mistake of underestimating a fighter who has rebuilt himself from the inside out. Under Andy Lee, Parker has shredded the bad habits. No more drifting, no more breaks, no more complacency. Instead, he brings sharpness, stamina, and a mental edge that's sharper than ever. If Usyk truly sees him as a soft touch, he may be walking into a nightmare. Parker is hungry, fearless, and motivated by the disrespect. A dangerous man is one who feels underestimated, and right now, Parker fits that description perfectly.
The fight against Usyk, and as long as Usyk wins against Parker, which I expect him to, that fight will always happen. So I can understand it.
Just funny.
And in reality, from Usyk, he might actually look at Joseph Parker and think he's a soft touch. he might a softer touch, should I say, in regards to all the other guys that are out.
Leave it to Derek Chisora to drop the most savage line of all. To beat Oleksandr Usyk, you have to be mentally disturbed. And in his own chaotic way, Chisora might be absolutely right. Usyk's skill set, his rhythm, and his unbreakable composure have made him nearly impossible to crack. So how do you approach a man who seems untouchable? You need a fighter who is willing to abandon comfort, embrace chaos, and walk through fire without hesitation. That's where Joseph Parker comes in. On the surface, Parker is calm, respectful, and measured. But inside the ring, especially under Andy Lee, he's begun to tap into that ruthlessness, throwing combinations without fear, maintaining pressure without breaks, and refusing to give opponents the comfort of breathing space. Chisora's words underline what Parker must bring: a level of controlled madness, a relentless belief that doesn't crack even when Usyk looks untouchable. Parker doesn't need to be reckless, he needs to be relentless, unpredictable, and unshakable. And if he brings that disturbed edge, suddenly Usyk looks human.
Listen, what I'm saying is this, yeah. To beat Oleksandr Usyk, you have to be mentally disturbed in your head. Yeah?
You have to be mentally disturbed.
Yeah, because you have to understand.
Or to take the fight in the first place.
Yeah, because when I saw him a couple months ago,
yeah,
I had a coffee with him, we were just chatting. The guy lives in Ukraine.
Yep.
Yeah. He goes, oh, before I came on the plane, I was sleeping in my house, and then those missiles were going over my house, and I didn't want to go in the bunker. I was like, I'll just go to sleep.